It's wonderful to have a chat to Jeff Brayley, social researcher at station sponsor McCrindle. They bring data to life, and you do that for leaders in business, in organisations, churches, community groups. Jeff, what is the data that leaders should be looking at as they look into the future?
Leaders should be using multifactorial data. It's all about variety and lots of different data sets. We want to help leaders become really powerful at impacting and shaping a positive future. And so futuristic thinking is what we want to encourage people towards. You also need to be thinking generationally, understanding how society is changing, and also be practical, not just theoretical. Leaders should have a vision for the future and a plan for today.
Now, generations are working side by side so much more. Do you have any data around that?
Absolutely. A whole report, and there's a great infographic on the generations at work right now. 4 generations in Australia, from Gen Zs aged 16 to 30, who are motivated and looking for accessible and approachable leadership, all the way up to baby boomers that are looking for proximity when looking for new work. They want something close to home. And so we've got a great infographic there available for leaders to engage and motivate their teams effectively.
Jeff, I've seen this treasure trove. It really is. You're giving full access for 7 days. So how can people actually get access to this?
You can get the 50 plus infographics, 40 plus reports, courses, all on mccrindle.com. Search McCrindle Plus and you'll find that 7-day free trial. And we hope it empowers a positive future for all of society.
Jeff, thanks so much for your time.
Thank you.
Station sponsor McCrindle, and you can get all that at mccrindle.com. I don't know about you, but one of the things that irks me, and I know irks a fair few people, but I know, is when you get misunderstood. I don't know. Sometimes I'll blow up, especially those closest to you. You know, the kids will get an aspect of what I was trying wrong, and I thought I was angry at them, but I wasn't angry at them. And then I'll actually end up getting all worked up because I'm not angry at you. And then now I'm shouting at them. And anyway, those sorts of things happen. We eventually worked that out, and they realised I was not angry at all in the first place, but now I have to apologise for raising my voice. That aside, if you've ever had those moments where you've come to this situation and somebody's just misjudged what's going on, you might understand a bit of the heart of our guest today on the Towards Understanding podcast. His name is Wissam Nasrallah. He lives and works in Lebanon, working with so many refugees, with those in poverty situations, with local churches. And he has a great opportunity to explain to us about some of our misunderstandings, perhaps, about the Middle East. And I think we probably have that around Australia and New Zealand. We have certain concepts in our mind. He's going to help talk us through some of that. He's going to help talk us through about the role that Lebanon plays in the Christian church as well, and his role in the work that he does. This is a truly awesome conversation with Wissam. I'm so glad you've joined us. Just before we get stuck into that conversation, would you please like, rate, review, share this podcast with others. It helps us get it out to more and more people. All right, here's my chat with Wissam Nasrallah. Wissam, thanks so much for taking the time.
Hi, Clayton. Thank you for having me. It's a privilege and a pleasure to be with you on the show and to visit your beautiful country.
It's wonderful to have you here. You better start off. What is Thimar? What does it mean, and where do you work?
Right. Thimar means fruits in Arabic. And our motto is to bear the fruits of faith. Faith always brings forth fruits, and we hope to be carrying these fruits in the work that we're doing in Lebanon, in Syria and Iraq, and in other countries around the Middle East.
And this is something that has its basis in Christianity and in its love of Jesus. Is this something that was always a part of your world and your life, or something that you actually came into that relationship with Jesus later on in life?
Yeah, I come from a Maronite background, not Mennonite, Maronite. It's a century it's a church that can trace its roots back to the 3rd century. But my parents and then later all of our family came into a personal knowledge of Jesus Christ as Lord and Savior, and we've been committed with a Baptist church in Lebanon. I grew up in that faith tradition, although our culture is very much a Maronite culture.
And that idea between that culture understanding, does that have issues as you sort of try and live out your walk and your faith in your life, or is it work quite hand in hand?
Well, it's always a challenge, especially when faith traditions carry a lot of history and a lot of wounds throughout time. The Maronite Church and Christianity in the Middle East was persecuted for a long time. So it always has a set of challenges when you leave a faith tradition to something new. But I want to honor the Maronite Church and the history it represents. Most people ask me, in Lebanon, you need to belong to a faith group. This is how our country is. Religion is more about identity than faith. So people usually ask, so what are you? And my reply is, I'm a Baptonite. I'm a Baptist Maronite. And this is always a good entry point for good conversation around that.
You did use the phrase, that those of Christian faith used to, or mostly implied was the past tense, get persecuted. Often here in Australia and New Zealand, when we talk in faith communities around the Middle East, it does sort of seem to indicate that Christianity is quite a minor part of that. Is that your experience in Lebanon as well, or is this something that maybe we've got a little bit wrong and we need to readjust how we talk and discuss that?
Right. Lebanon is an exception in the Middle East. We're one of the smallest countries, and we're the only country that has freedom of religion, which means it's the only country where people can officially or legally change their religious affiliation without being legally persecuted. Well, law is one thing, and social persecution is another. So Christians in Lebanon are not persecuted, and those who come to the Christian faith are not legally persecuted, but can be socially persecuted from their family. However, this is not the case for other Arab countries. In Jordan, in Syria, in Palestine, Christianity is a minority. In Lebanon, we're about 30%. The constitution imposes that the president of Lebanon needs to be a Maronite Christian. So Lebanon is a really different, has a different dynamic. In other Arab countries where there's no historical Christianity, like North Africa, there is more persecution towards Christians who come from a non-Christian background. In countries like Syria or Jordan, there is historic Christianity. Christians are tolerated, but changing one's religion is not. However, with the change of regime in Syria that happened in December, we're starting to see more signs of religious persecution against Christian minorities there. So persecution is a real thing in the Middle East, especially for those who don't come from a Christian background, those who embrace faith in Jesus Christ as Lord and Savior and have to leave their own faith tradition.
Now, we talked about the fact that you're working with Thimar across this region as well that we're discussing, and a partner of Baptist World Aid here in Australia. We know that, or many people may know that Baptist World Aid doesn't necessarily only work with those who have a Baptist tradition or a Christian tradition. Is that the same with Thimar? Absolutely.
We serve everybody in need. So Thimar has 6 ministries. One ministry that Baptist World Aid supports is our relief and development arm. And in the past few years, for the past decade actually, we've been focused on serving Syrian refugees who've fled the civil war and came to Lebanon. Just to give you a sense of the proportion, Lebanon is a country of 4 million Lebanese, and we have about 1.5 million Syrians. So 1 out of 3. And 1 out of 3, if you add Iraqi refugees and Palestinian refugees, 1 out of 3 in Lebanon is a refugee, and most of them are come from a Muslim background, or most of them are Muslim. And so our call is to serve everybody in need unconditionally, hoping that we can alleviate some of the suffering, but also to reflect in a very tangible way the Lord Jesus Christ to them.
Now, when you talk about serving in that way, what are the actual ways that that is occurring?
So we work mainly through local churches where we are not the boots on the ground. The church is, and so this can take different forms. It can be food support, winterization project. We have harsh winters in Lebanon. Non-formal education, which is very, very important for displaced families who don't have any hope for the future. They are just stuck in a camp. So having their kids go to a school, although it's a non-formal school, goes a long way in providing hope for the future. It can also be livelihoods, teaching basic skills for refugees so that they can work and provide for their families. Women empowerment, which includes basic adult literacy. It takes various forms, and we do it through the local church. And that's very important because when human beings are not just physical, they are physical, mental, and emotional and spiritual. And when we focus on one part of human needs, we're missing on the other two. And the church can provide a holistic support. They know people's names, they can visit them. These people exist as individuals who have intrinsic worth and dignity. When you call somebody by name, they exist as a person. Whereas if you're just doing a massive food distribution program, you're lost between the masses. So churches are very important in providing this holistic approach, and they can pray for people. They can cater for their emotional needs as well. And when programs stop, this is something that happens, and we have to pull back. The church is always there, and relationships can continue within that community. And finally, churches can do proper needs assessment on the ground to know exactly what the needs are. So we have a very bottom-up approach. We don't come with a pre-structured program. We listen to what the church feels is the need, and we help them structure that. They are the boots on the ground, the hands and feet of Jesus, and we do all the back office work so that they can focus on loving and caring for people.
Love that. You talked about the fact that you're based in Lebanon, and you talked about those refugees who come in, and this is part of the work. Is there other parts that Thimar is doing in other countries as well, or is it sort of that idea that because Lebanon is one of those sort of safer regions that people are coming there, is the work sort of more spread or more located there?
Yeah, refugee work is mainly focused around Lebanon and Syria, and with a small project in Iraq. The other components of our ministry, such as the Bible College, has a more regional footprint. We have students from Morocco to Bahrain, from Kurdistan to Yemen, from South Sudan to Baghdad. So we have students that come from all over the Arab world. And this is where we see truly a regional footprint. And we have also a publishing house. And so we try to attend and distribute Christian resources in these countries as much as we can and as much as we're allowed to do so. So we participate in regional book fairs in Cairo and Baghdad, in Riyadh, in Medina, in Tunisia, where we try to provide Christian material and resources.
And I am told, at least my notes have it here, that am I correct that you're also going to become the president of that seminary college coming up in the next couple of months as well?
That's correct. I have no clue how that happened, but yes, this is true.
Well, that's wonderful. You're certainly a busy man, Wissam. Look, we're going to come back and talk in a few minutes' time about how we can help support and make sure that this work continues, and what can we do here in Australia and New Zealand. What are the things for you to say to us? But before we actually even head to the break, is there one person's story that you just love telling about the impact of the work of Thimar, just to help us understand even more from a sort of that one individual perspective?
Yeah, sure. We work with amazing people, amazing pastors, amazing church leaders, and sometimes they come from rural areas, very impoverished communities. Uh, but to see the zeal and the passion that they have to reflect Christ to those who are in need is what makes us wake up every morning. There's this one pastor in northern Lebanon. They've been overstretched. He's studying at the Bible college. They've responded to the massive displacement last October in Lebanon during the Hezbollah-Israel war. They started a farm, an agricultural project to provide job opportunities to their community. It's in a rural area. On top of all of these, we had after the ceasefire, we felt, we'll have some time some downtime. And a couple of weeks after that, massacres started happening in Syria amongst the Alawites, and Alawites started flooding into northern Lebanon. This pastor calls me and he says, Wissam, we need to do something about that. And I tell him, Pastor, this is 40 minutes away, 50 minutes away. You're already stretched. Just, sit on the sidelines for this one. And the next day, guess what? He sends me a picture from the other village, and they responded anyway, or at least they went anyway to see what they can do. So these people are stretched, but they're very driven, passionate, zealous for good works and to glorify God in everything that they do. And for us, it's just an inspiration to keep going.
Love that. Wissam Nasrallah is somebody who works deeply in the Middle East with Thimar, a partner of Baptist World Aid Australia. We're going to be back with Wissam in just a couple of moments' time to hear more stories and to hear his perspective for us here in Australia and New Zealand, having visited, having been here. What's his message for us? And what is the opportunity for us to impact our world through the work of Thimar and others around that region? That's on the way in just a moment here on Towards Understanding.
Share your brand, your event, your message across 90 Christian radio stations and major cities in Australia and New Zealand by sponsoring Towards Understanding, hosted by Clayton Bielan. More than 210,000 people tune into Towards Understanding each week, and with just one sponsorship, you'll reach this immense engaged audience. Find out more about this exciting and unique opportunity now on the sponsorship page at positivemedia.com.au.
This is Towards Understanding. You're with Clayton Bielan, and it's an absolute privilege right now to be having a chat to Wissam Nasrallah from Thimar, working primarily in Lebanon, but also then throughout the Middle East. As we've been hearing, if you've just joined us, Thimar working really on the ground with humanitarian programs, with education programs, with support programs, and then working through local churches throughout all of the Middle East, and especially in Lebanon, as a number of refugees are coming into that part of the world, doing some remarkable work, out visiting our part of the world at the moment as well. It's wonderful to be chatting with Wissam. Could you talk to us a little bit more, I suppose, Wissam, as well, about, we got you to share one story before, but I'm sure you've got others. We always love hearing the stories on the program. Are there other sort of specific examples of the remarkable work you've done and those stories of lives that have changed that you could share with us?
Yes, of course. Just a quick disclaimer. Sometimes we think this is our doing, or it's because we're doing good work. At the end of the day, it's God working through us. We're just tools that He uses to bring about His purposes and His work of redemption. So by the end of the day, nobody can claim that this is a result of their own effort. It's really God moving and God working in us and through us, and He's the one changing and touching hearts. I come from a Baptist faith tradition, as I might have mentioned, and we're uncomfortable with the things that are Holy Spirit related. So, and yet we see this every day, God working in the hearts of refugees, people who have know any kind of church background or churchy language, and they come knocking on the doors of the churches serving them and asking them, I've had a dream or a vision, or can you explain this to me? This is very uncomfortable for me, but it's also very encouraging that God does not that God does not work within the framework that is comfortable to me or to us, and He's always stretching us in the way that He is making Himself known to people, and this is how we can be sure that this is His doing and not ours. We have plenty of stories of these visions and dreams, and it's just very, very humbling. Another story I want to share is of Sana, a refugee lady from Syria. She had to flee her village and town when ISIS, this is back in 2015, they were occupying more land and territory in Syria. So they had to flee. Her son was killed while she was carrying him. I think it was a sniper shot. And her dad passed away while he was trying to get the family out. She arrived to Lebanon with nothing, not knowing anybody, and 3 daughters. She was faced with a lot of racism and a lot of social abuse. And then she found the local church in a town where that is one of our major partners there. The local church stood next to her, heard her story, tried to help in what they could, but they were there for her. That's the story. They were present in her life. Fast forward, Sana''s daughters are at the school that the church runs. They're doing very well. They speak decent English, and Sana is even managing or running the child safety program, or the child-friendly space that the church runs, where she takes care of other young kids with their moms during the day. This has transformed Sana. She's been empowered, and she has more hope today than she had a few years back when she arrived to Lebanon. But the biggest hope she has is that she knows who's her Lord and Savior. She knows where her name is written, and that despite all the challenges and the hardships, her life is still very hard, but she knows that God is with her, and that He will not forsake her, and that He will carry her through all the challenges and all the difficulties. That's every time I remember that story and I remember that lady, I just feel humbled and encouraged to see how God redeems ugly and bad situations. They're still bad, they're still hard, but God is not done, and God is still offering hope, and He is still working in people's lives.
Thank you for sharing. What a powerful story of change and of how when community works together, right? You weren't the one personally, so I'm right on the ground helping, but you were the one helping facilitate the churches to help her. Like, that's wonderful, and what a remarkable story. Thank you so much for sharing. Wissam, I'm wondering if I could ask you a 2-pronged question. And it is around how here in Australia and New Zealand that we should really be thinking and processing and working through what is happening throughout the Middle East. We understand there's a number of conflicts that are occurring at the moment around in the regions. Your work is remarkable in the midst of that, and working with those who are fleeing various parts and that sort of thing. So my 2-pronged question is this. One, how would you like us to be thinking about what is happening throughout the Middle East? And the second part of that is there, as you've visited our shores, is there a challenge to us about the way we could live our life differently? So sort of a 2-pronged. The first is, how should we be thinking about the Middle East, and what's your challenge to us?
Sure. When you say Middle East in Australia and other Western countries, it's usually synonymous with trouble, terrorism, and bad news.
Yeah.
I hope after that conversation, people will know that beyond or beneath the bad news, there is good news, and God is not done with this region, and God is still at work. It doesn't mean that it's any easier, but God is there and He's working. And we've seen when the church is on the sideline or when the church is immigrating, this is a structural problem we have. Christians in the Middle East want to leave. They want to come here. They want to go to other developed countries for hoping to provide a better life for their children and for their future. They just feel trapped there. Although this is happening and we're bleeding out our Christian community, God is raising up a new people to witness to Him. And this is just unimaginable for us, even as Christians over there. God is raising followers from the Kurdish community, from the Druze community. And these are communities that we've never dreamed or imagined that they would be carrying the light of Christ into this region. So God is never at loss. God is never leaves Himself without witnesses, and He will raise up witnesses from the most unexpected places. Another thing that we've learned during that time is the church should never waste a good crisis. I know this sounds paradoxical or a bit Machiavellian, but hear me out. Crises strip away illusions. They reveal what we really trust and what we put our hope in. And in all our songs, we sing that Jesus is all we need, and the crisis will test whether that's just a lyric we sing or a truth we live. And some of us have learned, and I am still learning on a personal level, that reality is that when Jesus is all you have, that's when Jesus becomes all you need. This is a quote by Tim Keller. And so the church is not called to withdraw from crisis. We're called to embrace it and to make the difference and to be salt and to be light to the communities that are in need. Something from a personal story, if I may. After the Beirut port explosion, you've probably seen this on television here. And we just had crisis after crisis. I kept telling myself and telling my team, just wait. Let's wait for the light at the end of the tunnel. Anytime now, things will get better. And suddenly it hit me. Suddenly I realized that, you know what? Most likely we won't be having any light at the end of the tunnel soon. Things might get worse. But what we're called to be and what we're called to do as followers of Jesus is to be the light inside the tunnel for those who are in need. And there's nothing heroic about that. It's just broken people carrying the good news to other broken people. It's ordinary people like you and me. I mean, you're extraordinary, Clayton, but ordinary people like me. Just having an extraordinary God working in extraordinary ways. And so sometimes we're often tempted by thinking that we need to be the heroes of that story. We need to do something unbelievable. And God is just calling us for faithfulness and obedience in the midst of the storm. Not more, not less. And the rest is on Him. So that's my challenge and my encouragement also for the Australian church. How can God use you today as light in the tunnel for somebody who's going through a dark time? It can be your neighbor, it can be a co-worker. We just need to be bold and courageous. I think in the West we've internalized the idea that faith is strictly a private matter. Don't bring it to the public space. Don't offend anyone. I was in the UK not long ago, and I was reading a statistic. They say sorry for almost anything. They're like Canadians. I'm not sure about Australia, but we're just always afraid to offend somebody, to say something that is not right. But I think God calls us to be bold and to be courageous and to step into the breach and to step into the heart places of where people are. And it doesn't necessarily mean to preach. Probably it starts by listening, by being present, by being there, and loving people, so that we can reflect the love of Christ, and so that at some point we can share the hope that we have in us. So yeah, that's my encouragement and my challenge to our listeners. Another challenge is come to the Middle East, even though you think it's dangerous. It's safe now. We will take good care of you. Come visit us, see what God is doing in this part of the world. Despite all the negative headlines, we have amazing food, but most importantly, amazing people that are doing great work for the Lord.
Love that.
And we're come and see us, come and taste, and come and be blessed.
I love that. That's wonderful. Wissam, if somebody wants to support the work, as we've been talking about, this program is Australia and New Zealand wide, but you are partnering specifically with Baptist World Aid Australia. How do people actually support the work? Because I'm imagining that, it does cost money to be able to run all of what you're doing. How do people do that?
Sure. Baptist World Aid is a great avenue. They're amazing partners. We're so blessed to be partnering and working with them. They're world class, very professional, but also very caring, and it's just an immense privilege. Baptist World Aid focuses mainly on relief and refugee work. So if your heart is there, please reach out to them, and that's a great way to support. We have other ministries. We have an amazing special needs ministry in Lebanon. We lead the country in special needs. I can safely say special needs are an unreached people group, them and their families and their parents, and there's just great work being done there. I mentioned obviously the seminary, the publishing house. We have a small church planting ministry. So wherever your heart is, go check our website, www.thimar.org. And if you would like to support, see how the Lord leads you. If you're looking for tax exemption, Baptist World Aid is your best option. And they're just amazing partners for us.
Wissam, thank you so much for taking the time to have a chat to us, for sharing your story, for the challenge, for the encouragement as well. It's a privilege to have a chat to you. Thank you for joining us. Clayton,
thank you for having me, and God bless you in your ministry and everything that you're doing.
Thank you so much. From Thimar, Wissam Nasrallah, my guest here on Towards Understanding.
Is Big Cloud blowing your budget? Expensive, rigid, full of hidden gotchas. Introducing mCloud by station sponsor Micron 21. Designed by Australians for Australian businesses. With local infrastructure and support, mCloud keeps your data onshore and secure at a fraction of the cost, and migration's a breeze. Cut costs without cutting corners. Start your free mCloud trial now at micron21.com.
It's wonderful to have a chat to Jeff Brayley, social researcher at station sponsor McCrindle. They bring data to life, and you do that for leaders in business, in organisations, churches, community groups. Jeff, what is the data that leaders should be looking at as they look into the future?
Leaders should be using multifactorial data. It's all about variety and lots of different data sets. We want to help leaders become really powerful at impacting and shaping a positive future. And so futuristic thinking is what we want to encourage people towards. You also need to be thinking generationally, understanding how society is changing, and also be practical, not just theoretical. Leaders should have a vision for the future and a plan for today.
Now, generations are working side by side so much more. Do you have any data around that?
Absolutely. A whole report, and there's a great infographic on the generations at work right now. 4 generations in Australia, from Gen Z's aged 16 to 30, who are motivated and looking for accessible and approachable leadership, all the way up to baby boomers that are looking for proximity when looking for new work. They want something close to home. And so we've got a great infographic there available for leaders to engage and motivate their teams effectively.
Jeff, I've seen this treasure trove. It really is. You're giving full access for 7 days. So how can people actually get access to this?
You You can get the 50 plus infographics, 40 plus reports, courses, all on mccrindle.com. Search McCrindle Plus and you'll find that 7-day free trial. And we hope it empowers a positive future for all of society.
Jeff, thanks so much for your time.
Thank you.
Station sponsor McCrindle, and you can get all that at mccrindle.com.